If it hurts, you ain't afraid, no games, you know let us put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, through the games after this win in. Press you again, we're here for the first May. Carry the body, keep it there for 60 minutes.
Rocky Top! You'll always be.
Just look around. You got the mountains, you got the most beautiful city in the whole entire country. The university is absolutely, looks like it's out of a storybook. It's just beautiful. People are incredibly genuine and extremely nice. It's just a place that obviously I'd want my kids to go to school. And it sells itself. You don't have to sell anything about this place. You just got to get them here. You know, the old field of dreams. Yeah. Build it and they will come. It's already built.
Doesn't have to be perfect, ain't gonna be perfect. We go compete for 60 freaking minutes. All right, enjoy the opportunity, enjoy the environment, and then go play our butts off, play for one another, and have a hell of a lot of fun. Everybody got me?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Make the decision. You're either a Vol or you're not, through thick and thin.
There's nothing better than standing in Neyland Stadium, listening to this with 102,000. Go Big Orange.
All right, congrats, Coach.
Who got my back? I got your back. Who got my back? I got your back. Who got my back? I got your back. We play for another. We fight for another. Every fight, every play, every round. Hey, Tennessee on 2. 1, 2. Tennessee. Ball, that team ready. Ready. Ball, that team ready. Ready. Ball, that team ready.
We got a chance to be a really good team. There's some things we got to continue to improve upon, but there's nothing better than standing in Neyland Stadium, listening to this with 102,000. Go Big Orange.
All right, congrats, Coach.
Rolling down a backwoods Tennessee byway, one arm on the wheel, holding my lover with the other, a sweet, soft southern thrill. Worked hard all week, got a little jingle on a Tennessee Saturday night. Couldn't feel better, I'm together with my Dixieland tonight. Spend my dollar, park in a holler, neath the mountain moonlight. Hold her up tight, make a little loving, a little turning oven on a Mason-Dixon night. It's my life. Oh, so right, my Dixieland delight. Whitetail buck deer munching on clover, red-tailed hawk sitting on a limb, chubby old groundhog, croaking bullfrog, free as a feeling in the wind. Homegrown country.
What is going on? Good Wednesday evening. Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. He's Diver, Coach Rice, Coach Jay, both in the house. We got those bye-week blues, man. It's sad. It's sad. It's sad because the season is more than halfway over, but it's also sad because we don't have a game on Saturday. So I decided to do something a little different. I'll be honest, man. I recorded Locked On Balls with Kaner earlier today. We usually record on Thursday. He posted on Friday. But we recorded it earlier today. He had some scheduling issues, and he said, Boogie, let's do something fun. Let's do stock up, stock down, stock stagnant. I said, all right, I got it, whatever. We jump on. We talk, man, we had like a 40-minute show, just talking about this football team. And when we got done, I said, you know what, Kaner, this ain't posted until Friday, so I'm just going to steal your idea, and I'm going to do it tonight on the Wednesday night show, and it's going to be old news by the time you post. He said, Boogie, you go right ahead. You have my permission. So we're going to do something similar. We're going to do like a mid-season review. We're going to go through each position group, talk about the offense, the defense. We're going to get into it. Come on in, smash the thumbs up. Smash the thumbs up. Foul Ming dropped a $5 super chat and said, I heard DeBoer checks under his bed for Will Brooks at night. Boogeyman Nightmares door fee. Shout out Foul Ming for the door fee. We appreciate you. The 137 of you other people snuck in the back door. I guess we will forgive you. Dauber, what's going on, brother? You're the only one that's not been on the channel since the win. Did you smoke a cigar, and how does it feel to beat Bama twice in 3 years?
I did not. I've got one, and I will probably enjoy it maybe this weekend on our deck that is very near completion. The Airbnb we were at in California did not allow smoking of any kind. But man,
by the way,
awesome.
Side note.
Well, of any kind, of any kind.
It explicitly said of any kind.
Okay.
Why are we doing this?
No one follows that rule. No one follows.
Hit me up off air about that deck because we've got a big project. And anyway,
Gotcha.
Side note. So, what did you think of the win? What were your thoughts on the win over Alabama, just briefly, and then we're going to kind of let Coach Jay do some storytelling as well.
Big win. First and foremost, it was one of those things. I guess BVS rears up and you're like, oh, here we go again. First half, offense is really struggling. Yet another game that you were lucky to go in only down one score, just with everything that happened. And I know we'll get into. I've got a couple of talking points I don't want to burn up right now when we kind of get into the mid-season review. But man, this defense has carried the chain. They've been the heavy hitters for this team up to this point. And, I'm glad to see him get it done. Glad to see him protect Neyland 2 years in a row. It's this team, this coaching staff, they're doing things that haven't been done in a long time with this program. So as much criticism and as much, up in the air and all that you want to be, pump the brakes a little bit. Let's give them credit because here's the thing. And I've said this before, good teams find a way to win a game. And it doesn't matter. You're not going to remember, this stretch of games that we went 3-1 in. You're not going to remember the scores of them. Very, very unlikely that you will. But you'll remember that hey, we beat Florida, we beat Bama. We've still got everything in front of us. So it was cool to walk down Venice Beach. Pretty much not paying attention to anything that was around me except watching the game on my phone. I'm sure that I looked about as weird as some of the people that were some of those cats around there, man.
Got some weird cats out here, Dauber. We got
I
some
tell you
weird
what,
cats out
man.
there.
Some roller skating fools.
He's not
What
lying.
is happening? What is happening?
He's not lying.
Coach Rice, can you bring us back to earth? Do you have any? Look, me, you, Coach Jay, we've been on the channel multiple times talking about the Alabama game, especially you and I. Do you have any different thoughts, different takes about the win over Alabama?
I mean,
hold on, you're last, Coach Jay.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I just heard Coach because I have selective hearing. Coach Rice, please.
All right, so I mean, I've rewatched it a few times. Going forward, I think it shows lots of promise through things we saw throughout the game. Not just in the second half where we played good. There was bits and pieces even in the first half that it showed promise. So even though we played executed like crap, the promise of the potential of what we could be is there. And so I really think the building and the growth of this team all together. Not just certain players, not just certain position groups, but every single player on this roster, every single coach. I think they're showing. Yes, we fought adversity through this early part of this first part of the season, or first half of the season. Do we learn and build from that adversity where maybe we weren't playing, especially on offense, to our standards? And now we can go from that, our experiences we've learned from, and just getting better and learning and growing, that we can go be the team that, gets over the hurdle, gets to the SEC championship, knocks off Georgia, competes in the SEC championship, maybe wins, and goes make noise in the playoffs. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but everything is there for it to happen.
Let me catch up and hit a couple of super chats. We're going to catch up with Coach Jay on his trip to Tennessee. Hondo T drops an orange boy. That's a 20 spot. We appreciate that super chat, Hondo T. We'll play the clip.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Says, listening to Vol family while in North Carolina. The old snake eater still here serving my people. Go big freaking orange, baby. Thank you, Hondo, for the super chat, and thank you for doing what you do, man. You are a giving person. We appreciate you serving the people over in North Carolina, taking care of them after the hurricane. Sean Cross also drops a 20 spot. We'll play the clip.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Sean says, here we go. Hey, Boogie, the champ is here. Yeah, man, gosh. He talks so much trash for a guy that's 2-173. 2 wins, 173 losses against me. And he talks so much trash. He says, the champ is here. Me and Mrs. Booby got to dance to DJ Boogie last night. It was definitely sweeter after a dominating victory. Glad you are still undefeated, Coach Jay. You know what sucks about this? Sean joined the Dynasty today. He actually got in on the Dynasty today after we advanced from the preseason. And he went with North Carolina. And I don't know if I like that or not. I don't know what that team looks like. And the last thing I need is to have to play Sean with an inferior team and listen to him run that mouth some more. So, Sean, I will see you Tuesday night. I'm going to figure something out. You thought that first beating you got was bad. I got something in store for you. Good old Nate Pruitt for 5 says, cover charge, Boogie, howdy, Dauber. Coach Rice, Coach Jay. God bless and go Vols. James Lofton, what's up, brother? It's good to see family in the house. James drops a $5 super chat. Nothing to say, just a tip in the tip jar. We appreciate you, James. We hope Jaden's doing well. I know the last time I talked to Kenny, he said that Jaden's surgery went well. He's recovering. That's good to hear, man. We're excited. We are excited to get you guys on Rocky Top. Get Jaden back to 100%, ready to go. Coach Jay, you took a little trip out to the East Coast. I got some pictures. I'm just going to roll through them. But talk about your time in East Tennessee, the time and first of all, Coach Jay walking around Knoxville. He got that belt over his shoulder like he's the champ. This is the real champ. Can we talk about this kid? That's the real champ.
That's a good looking belt right there.
Well, did you have your belt with you when you ran across this kid? You should have posed off with him.
I did not. If I had my belt, I would have definitely posed off with him. And for the record, Miss J took this picture. Coach J wasn't trying to take a picture of the girl in the background. Don't get no ideas. Miss J
you just totally exposed yourself with that comment.
Miss J took this picture.
No matter who took the picture, we know where Coach J's eyes went. You just buried yourself, bro.
Oh man, I'm done for now. I'm expecting a shoe flying around the corner any minute. I gotta keep one eye looking out. No, just everybody, man. Everyone was awesome. This is at Vol Calls at Calhoun's, and didn't get to go last time I went out last year for the South Carolina game. Got to go to Vol Calls in 2016 and see Mr. Brick by Brick himself. And kind of the nice part of that trip in 16 was talking to Tyler Bird and Khalil McKenzie. This is the tailgate party. You see the Spanish voice of the Vols back there in the back corner, and this Smoky Mountain Red. There he is right there. All these people, man. Robert, shout out to Robert for having me there. That's Mr. Price in that picture right there.
I uploaded the picture of Robert, and it's not here, so I must have accidentally deleted it.
This picture is so I can troll everyone I know back in California with the Tennessee Make America Great hat again. I'm sure that bugs everyone back at home, but that's all right. We'll bug them. This is Kaylin, for all you know Kaylin, old school Tuesday night crew. Michelle, Miss Queen Lurker herself.
Oh,
Oh,
that's like a
In the house,
celebrity.
Miss Queen Lurker in the house was sitting a couple rows behind us. Awesome lady there. Michelle's family.
This is
And
my
of
favorite.
course, Norman Lott, man, giving out love. Had a line full of girls waiting to take a picture with him. Asked for a picture, and I was like, man, I get it. You take a picture with all these ladies, and then you come give Coach Jay some love, and that he did. But yeah, man, awesome time. And look, that's like 10% of the people that I got to meet. I know Dauber hasn't heard this. I told Boogie this, but even from South Carolina, where a couple people recognized me, it was mind-boggling how many people walked up to me. I sat in my seat, and the guy sitting literally in the seat next to me looks at me, and I'm wearing my Rocky Top hat. Goes, "You're Coach Jay, Talkin VAWLS Network," and I was like, "Yeah," and he was like, "I'm a lurker. I never comment, but I'm lurking. I'm always in the show." And I was like, "That's awesome, man. Is this your, like, do you come to Neyland all the time?" He's like, "Well, I'm from Nashville." And I was like, "Oh, so you've been once or twice?" He's like, "No, first time ever in Neyland Stadium." I was like, "All right, man, we're going to go get this W right now. Are you nervous?" And he was like, "A little bit." And I was like, "I got you, brother. I got you. I'm here," And
The champ is here.
yeah, took out the belt, took a couple pictures of the belt in front of Neyland. I know I sent Boogie pictures from like 3 different phones now that he has my burner account numbers and all that kind of thing. So I probably kept it hard for him to keep track of. But yeah, I got stopped on the field, stopped at the tailgate party. Everyone treated us with such gracious Southern hospitality, man. It's awesome. I know I beat it to death at football's family, but that trip just kind of solidified all the reasons I fell in love with the Tennessee fan base as a whole, man. When I was a little kid, it was always the people, the fan base, followed by the football team and the love of that fan base for that football team. So awesome stuff. Never did catch the poo poo bandit, Boogie. Sorry to report once again. He is still at large in the greater Knoxville area. So keep your garages and your coolers shut, and you may make it out all right.
Then look at these two knuckleheads. What's this all about?
Oh, there you go. Look, I still got that sticker on the bottom of his hat, I feel like. But
yeah, I saw it and was making fun of you, but I didn't tell anybody.
Yeah, go. He's like, I'm going to see how long he keeps it there like an idiot. I'm not going to tell him. Went out to get some good barbecue.
I was going to say, I think I know where that's at.
Yeah. And then, ran into Nico at Ruth Chris. Yeah, that's
you ruined my before and after moment. That's the before.
Yeah,
that's the after.
That's the after. Yeah, I think a couple hours later would have been the worst after. But yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, it was weird. Like I said, ran into Nico twice. Ran into him at Ruth Chris. He kind of got mobbed when he popped around the corner. He was with his girl and his baby at the time. Nice little girl, mugged him. A couple other people mugged him, so I didn't really get to talk to him. Ran into him again at the airport, just coming down that, whatever that is, on the way to baggage claim, going up to the security desk at the Knoxville airport. And Miss J formally elbowed me in the stomach and said, "There's Nico," and got a little fist bump, a little pop, little talk. But once again, that dude is not trying to stay out in public too long. He gets mobbed. I mean, I don't know how many other 6'6" Polynesian dudes are running around Knoxville, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say not many. So he definitely gets recognized quickly. But overall, great trip. Yeah, great trip, man. I don't know what else to say. It was awesome, from Market Square and the March Madness event, the fireworks show there, to the bars, to everything, man. The whole thing. I always love Knoxville when I'm there. So sad till I get back, but apparently I think Michelle's going to work on getting a Coach J crucial home game ticket fund going, so we can keep the victories alive, maybe.
Yeah, we got Robert on.
I talked about it before we went live. Saturday
Yeah.
night. Said, I don't know what we got to do. We got to set up
Yeah,
some kind of investment
she
fund.
said the same thing. She said the same thing. That's what she said, some kind of fund or something. But yeah, no, good luck so far, and awesome to see. Yep, still haven't seen them lose at home. Only a tie and 2 losses on the road.
Man, I had the worst luck in the. I've seen some good wins with Dauber. Me
Mm.
and Snake, we should have got rid of our season tickets a long time before we did. I mean, it was the end of the Fulmer era. Is basically what we had season tickets for. We saw the loss to Vanderbilt, all the worst games you could possibly be at. Me and Snake were there together. Look, we're over halfway through this thing. Tennessee 6-1, college football playoff, SEC championship, everything that they want is still in front of them. We thought we'd take a little break and do like a mid-season review type thing. We're just going to go position group by position group. We're not going to do stock up, stock down, stock stagnant. I don't want to offend Kaner too much, but we'll just talk about what we thought about the room going into the season, where they're at, what they need to do to get better. Let's start with the man himself. Let's start with Nico. Let's talk about the quarterback room, and we'll let Coach Rice kick us off. What were your expectations going in? What have been your frustrations? Where are you at now? Kaner asked me, spoiler alert, I said, I'm going to say trending up. I'm not ready to say stock up. The stock's not up, but it's trending up. It's about to get to where I thought it should be at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, I mean, I would say about that same basis, trending up, because I do think his confidence took a whole nother step in that second half of the Alabama game by connecting on some, a couple crucial throws there in important parts of the biggest game of the year. So, and you could see he started to gain confidence in the offensive line too in that second half, which they played awesome. The majority, I'd say 90% of the game, that was without a doubt their best game of the year, other than the scrub games. Nico came out came out firing all cylinders. We against Chat, we're like, man, Nico is him, and it kept going. He played pretty. I mean, had a couple bad throws that he wish he had back, but he still played great against NC State, and then played good against Kent State, and was limited, but we all thought that was because of what we were dealing with the offensive line against Oklahoma. But then you could really see in that second half when Heupel pulled back that I don't know, it just took him out of being Nico. Like, I don't know if that's the best way to put it, but and then the start of the Arkansas game, it's like all of his confidence in what he was doing at the beginning of the year just wasn't there. Didn't have his swagger and mojo that he was playing with early. And so, and granted, we're playing tougher competition. I think going forward, trending up is the way that I see him going. But he most definitely has to play better. Can't have those early freshman mistakes that he's made. He, especially in crucial games, in crucial time, like that. You said it, Boogie. That was 1st and 10 in the red zone. You can't make that mistake. The awareness, which I think is improving as the season's going. So definitely trending up. Got to keep improving from game to game, and lean on Dylan Sampson and that defense, and just trust yourself. I think is the best way to go.
I'm waiting on somebody to take initiative. It's like, I really have to say, okay, Don. I feel like a teacher. I have to call on everybody.
Well, I just don't want to talk over anybody. So when you sent that out, I kind of ran through and jotted some quick notes, and I gave grades to the position groups.
Okay.
So I'm going to throw that out. So with Nico, I'm going B-. I don't necessarily think that he lost us the Arkansas game, and I don't necessarily think he's been the reason we've won a game. I don't think you can sway it either way. We've definitely seen some growing pains with him leading the ship And he's had flashes of really, really, really good play, which I think is where we wanted, him to come right in and just buzzsaw through everybody. And, we pumping up Heisman, preseason stuff. And he's got the potential. It's execution. And I think where we've kind of faltered in quarterback play, it's not necessarily solely on Nico. I think the play calling is a little bit hampered by some offensive line play. I think the receivers, tight ends at times have not helped him because there have been some very catchable balls that have been dropped. But Coach Rice, you said it. He's had some pretty bad reads, thrown into multiple coverages a handful of times, and that's one of the things Coach Jay had said. Uber talented, but at times can get greedy, and I think that's one of the things that going from I know the level of ball he played in California. He's going against uber talented people, but this is a step up. This is the SEC. Arm talent, athletic ability. Squeezing in the throws to tight windows. It's not quite like it was at the previous level. So it's those. Man, I'm going to toss this ball in the third row of the stands, and we'll live to play third down, and we'll try to pick it up there instead of trying to force a ball to make a play. Don't get me wrong. He's trying to make a play, and you can't fault him for that because you don't want your quarterback to not be a gamer and wanting to make plays. But it's that whole don't force it. So that's kind of where I see Nico. Given time, given the protection, I think he can run this offense with the precision and accuracy that I think would even be better than what Hendon Hooker did closing out 2022. I mean, it's set up for success for Nico. He does have some growing to do, and I think as a team, there's some growing that needs to happen. But you just keep building that momentum. So, like I said, B minus right now for Nico to this point in the season.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with like 99.89% of it. Probably 100% of what both you guys said. I think it rounds into it. And Dauber, thank you for listening to everything I say about Nico and not just the sunshine that I do pump because he is one of my kids. I appreciate that. Nico, if I was nitpicking coming out of high school, if you recall, he is uber talented and will force things at times. And he was bound to have to learn lessons the hard way doing that. And he has been learning some lessons the hard way doing that, certainly. Going back on Coach Rice's comments, my brain went the same way Daubers did when Boogie brought up his comment, and I kind of went to a grade, and I really thought about it. I mean, there's been times where I gave Nico a D+ grade, but then going back to how we saw the offense move and be efficient in the first couple games, and I realize against who it was, and in hindsight, who NC State has become, and who the other teams just are, but still record-setting offense against those teams, and then the Oklahoma game being coached how it was, the Arkansas game, I thought he played abysmal and played so out of character for Nico. I mean, force things, yes. Try to make a play sometimes when he shouldn't, yes, okay. Not trying to force something and make a play and running out of bounds, not who Nico is. That play, kind of like Boogie said, shouldn't define him as a freshman. I don't think will. And then Florida still kind of forcing the O-line, struggling, but you could kind of see that hope going. Nico played a lot better, but then had that fumble. This offense has started fast again the last two games, and then proceeded to blow their toes off with a 12-gauge shotgun in both games. once by Dylan Sampson, of course, and once by Nico in Florida. Got to get that fixed. I know it'll be the ire of both Coach Rice and I's keys to the game. I'm sure come next Wednesday will be a quick start finally from this offense. But yeah, a little bit of forcing. But yeah, man, if you couldn't see him start to turn a corner and build some of his stock in that Alabama game, big moments. We've all seen the arm talent out of Nico. We all see how talented he is, and I think it's where a lot of the frustration comes from as a fan base. Is they're in disappointment. There can be no disappointment without love. There can be no disappointment without seeing what greatness could be, right? And seeing how quick we start. It was disappointing to see what transpired next. Some big boy grown up plays late out of Nico there. I guess overall I ended up at a B-2 Dauber, although I will say it was probably the lowest B- you could give, a true 80% B-. But a B- still, if I take everything, and I had to start going into stats to think of this. I mean, 46 in passing efficiency, 71st in total offense, yet 23rd in first down offense, 21st in second down offense, 25th in fourth down offense. It's there, and we've started to grab it, but we're not holding it yet, man. In these next 3 weeks, we need to grab firmly these bull by the horns. If this offense can do this, this team can be special, and everything is still in front of this team if we can do just that.
Let me catch up with the super chats real quick. Vol fan 25 for 5 said, just wanted to say hello, Vol fam. GBO and Boogie, Coach Jay, Dauber, and Coach Rice. Thank y'all for putting the fire under the younger Vol fans. Man, that's why I preach enjoying the ride. Just enjoy it, man. The fact that we beat Florida and Alabama both back-to-back home games in Neyland Stadium. Enjoy that, because we went a long time where that was not happening. So appreciate what this football team is doing right now. Captain Woodland for 5 says, Coach Jay, with that orange drink reminds me of Boogie giving JP crap for drinking red Powerade on Georgia week. GBO and take it to Kentucky. Yeah, why is JP always drinking that red drink? Timothy McGee for 5 says, still missing the wide receivers for short gains. Need to hit the check down man, but good game anyway. Tyler Maxwell for 5 says, my fave VFLs. Thanks, Coach Jay, for taking a photo with me on Saturday. That second half was one of the best halves as an offense and defense. Keep the momentum.
Tyler, was that it? Remind me where that was. Was that at the tailgate party? Was that on the field? I'm just trying to put a name to a face. I think you were one of those two moments, but maybe a different one. Shout out in the chat where that took place. Was it the library where the tailgate was? Was it on the field? Where exactly was that? I kind of want to put a face to your name there.
Dude, you sent me so many pictures. I was like, I can't go. I can't. It's limited on what you can even put in here. It's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's move on to the running backs. The running back room. Obviously, man, this Josh Heupel offense, it starts with the running game. We all know that. Dylan Sampson. I think we all knew Dylan Sampson was going to be good. I think we all knew Dylan Sampson was probably going to be great. I didn't think Dylan Sampson was going to be having the year that he is having, leading the SEC in rushing. I think he's like 3rd, 4th in the country in rushing touchdowns, about to break the single season record for rushing touchdowns at the University of Tennessee. We talk about winning games, and we were looking for Joe Milton to go win us a game, and he wasn't doing it. Dylan Sampson is winning games. And I know the defense is winning games, but Dylan Sampson is saying, all right, we got to get in the end zone. Let me pick y'all up, get on my back, and I'm going to carry us to victory. Impressive. But I also think Deshaun Bishop has been way better than I ever could have imagined. We need to pick up the pace, boys, because we're on the second position group. So let's hit the high points, give the grade if you want to give a grade, and let's get through it. Let's go running backs, Coach Rice.
All right. I'll give it a A-. Could be higher, but I think pass blocking at times is questionable. But you can't deny what Dylan Sampson and Deshaun Bishop is doing in the run game, even with the offensive line struggles that we've seen at times. And they get stronger as the game goes, it seems like. It's like, at times they struggle in the first half, but as the game goes, when you really want those bell cows to drive their legs and, fight through, weak arm tackles. That's what Dylan Sampson and Deshaun Bishop do. So I'm going to go A-, and I fully expect Dylan Sampson to go break that touchdown record. And shocker, I think he returns next season.
Ooh.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yep.
Dude, can you imagine if he returns and then Peyton Lewis comes on and he is who we think he is?
Yeah.
I think Peyton Lewis could be one of the best backs we've had at Tennessee in a long time.
Yeah.
I think he's got that kind of talent and speed. Dauber, what do you think about the running backs?
Dylan freaking Sampson, man. I got an A. Dude has carried the load. 100 yards every game except for Oklahoma, and he was like 93 or something like that game. He has been the offense in a couple of games when the offense has kind of sputtered and not shown up. If everything's clicking, this offense is scary. But yeah, like Coach Rice, he's carried the load. He's been the dude. And then Bishop and Lewis, they've been good coming in for spells. Nice little change up. And I think that's the big thing. You do have that luxury of those two guys coming in and being able to pound out yards or break one to give Sampson a spell. So those guys, you're kind of staying fresh. It's similar to defensive line. You got stud and stud to kind of talent for talent. There's no drop off. So the other thing I'll say and just kind of touch on, when the quarterback gets out of the pocket, quarterback can be a running back. And I don't think that we've used that near enough as we could and maybe should, because Nico can run the ball. And I get it. I think that they're kind of being a little bit protective because Saturday, all these, Nico sucks, let's put him on the bench, put Gaston Moore in. Where are all those people at now after Gaston throws one pass down the field? It is what it is. But running backs, that they've, that's probably not a surprise, but they've been the highlight of the offense thus far.
You're muted, Coach.
Oh man,
you know what? I stuck my foot in my mouth even though I was muted, which is impressive. I said I was going to keep it quick, but then made it longer because I was on mute talking. I'll go with A-. Some minor pass protection things. It's been tough on them with the O-line and spots in the first half of games, not getting done what they need to get done. But they've ran hard for the most part. Yeah, maybe missed a hole there and here or there, missed a cutback here and there. But for the most part, look, they've been really great as a unit. So, yeah, A- overall. They've been great. Can always get a little better, but about as good as it gets in general.
Let me catch back up with Super Chats real quick. SP Weasel for 20. That's Orange Boy. I like Orange Boys. They make me happy, and I get to see my good friend Pat McAfee and Peyton Manning singing this song.
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
Says, thank you, Boogie, and all love from far west Texas. Well, thank you. We appreciate the Super Chat. We appreciate you being here with us. Captain Woodland for 5 says, does it seem like Coach is holding DeSamp back in the first half so he can be like a finisher in baseball in the second half? I love it if that's true. I don't know what's going on there. There were certain games where I felt like Deshaun Bishop was getting a lot of carries. It almost felt like it was going 2 series, 1 series, 2 series, 1 series. Like it was spelled throughout the first half. And then I felt like we were kind of, we talk about this defensive line and that, how they can wear on you. Guess what? That can be true on offense too. And if you're rotating Dane Davis in there, if you're rotating Jackson Lampley in there, your offensive line can wear on a defensive line too. And then you keep Dylan Sampson fresh. But as the season has played out, I don't know that that's necessarily the case. Dylan Sampson has 144 carries, and we are barely over halfway through this thing. We're 7 games into it, 144 carries. I had to go look just now. Does anybody want to take a wild guess how many carries Jalen Wright had last year for the entire season? If DeSamp's got 144, a little over halfway.
172.
Yeah, I was going to go 170 something. Oh, really?
137.
37.
Wow.
So Sampson is like that blew my mind when I went and looked because out of curiosity, because Sampson's getting a lot of run, and Canner brought up a good point this morning when we were recording Locked On Vols. You got to stay healthy. Can Dylan Sampson, continue this workload and stay healthy?
There's another reason for that, in my opinion. Maybe you know what? I want Coach Rice's opinion because I'm a defensive guy, but Coach with 3 men front, is that why we're seeing more? Okay. Why have we been seeing more 3 men? And we've been seeing more 3 men fronts because in the first half of the season, the offense went ballistic, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, see, football is such a game where it's like you got to take a whole picture sometimes, and it's hard to do that when you're up front looking at only one moment.
Your coach is going to have to go into depth. You can't just say, is it because of a 3-man front? Say yes and move on. You got to explain why that's impacting the carries.
Because the matchups, I mean, the numbers in the box, three, it's a 3-2, 3-3. Normally, if you see a 5-man box or even sometimes a 6-man box, depending on what the shadow guy's giving you, you're still identifying run if you're Nico. So, the numbers match out. The quarterback is an easy read. He's reading the light box, so we're going to run the ball. So, I mean, that's the reason why you see the larger numbers. And then also you got to think about we don't have much experience depth behind Sampson, so he is getting more carries than what Jalen Wright did when he had Jabari Small and Dylan Sampson to take carries away from him. So it's a little bit of both.
Yeah,
plus,
agreed.
Plus, young QB, the best medicine is a great running game. So.
Oh yeah, it's all part of that story. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Matthew Watson Purdue says y'all see JG was at the game Saturday. Go Vols. Me and Coach were talking about that Sunday morning. It's awesome. It's good to see him back. It was his first time back in Neyland Stadium since he transferred to Washington State. So yeah, that was good to see. Let's move on. Let's talk about the offensive line. I'm going to throw it at Dauber first here. Offensive line, pass blocking, run blocking. I think these are where I have trouble answering the questions when Kaner threw them at me. I'm like, well, I can answer this 17 different ways, brother.
All right. Run blocking, I put A-. I mean, we've just talked about Dylan Sampson and what he's, meant to this team, the successes he's had, going for 100 pretty much every game. To be able to do that as a running back, you got to have an offensive line run blocking for you. Pass blocking, I gave a C. They've not gotten it done. They've not given Nico enough time. You saw what he had, what he can do when he has time the first couple of games. And yeah, I know level of competition and all that, but we're saying it like it is right now. The other thing is way too many penalties. And I'm talking guys that we thought were going to come in and be studs and veteran guys with experience. We thought the offensive line was going to be a strength of this team, and really they've been the ones that they've kind of held this offense back. I think their lack of execution has hampered play calling, and it's made it hard for Heupel and this offensive staff to get rolling and get clicking, because there are certain things you can and can't do offensively when you don't know if you're going to get the protection you need. And then I'll pass it on.
Well, my offensive line grade, run blocking, B+, because you do see at times that Dylan Sampson's just breaking tack. There is a little penetration, and Dylan Sampson is making a play. But also, I will give them credit. They do as the game goes on, they take on what Dylan Sampson does, and they seem to get better as the game goes on, leaning on those defensive linemen and moving them. So I think the run blocking is a B plus. Pass blocking, I'm gonna go C minus. No, I'm gonna go D plus because it's bad when and that's room for growth. There's the extra credit available because that they're showing progress in the last game and a half. I thought the second half of the Florida game they looked more calmed down, a little more as one. And then in the Alabama game, I thought they showed growth. But altogether, midseason review, I think D plus. It's just very concerning with what you saw early in the season from Hurd and Campbell. Granted, it may be out of shape because they didn't get to practice much during the fall, or just not used to the tempo and for Hurd, and then John Campbell playing a new position at right tackle, which I think doesn't get brought up enough because he played left tackle at Miami. He played left tackle his first year here. There is a difference, and then the interior guys, I think Spraggins. I think he's played his best 2 games, the last 2 games. But like Hurd and Campbell, I think early in the season, I don't know if he was just struggling or what, but he wasn't playing up to Javonte Spraggins' level. And, Cooper's Cooper. I think him and Carrick have been the most consistent from week to week. But Carrick has his downfalls. Not a very good pass blocker, but I think the interior guys are great run blockers. So we'll see as the season goes on, but as of right now, I'll give run blocking B plus and pass blocking a D plus, and altogether a C.
Let me hit some super chats real quick, and then we'll come back and get Coach Jay on the offensive line. Brian Brooks for 5 says, sat next to a Bama fan last week, told me it was the loudest stadium he has been to, and he has been to Death Valley multiple times. Good job, Vols. I mentioned that in my video, like some of the social media stuff, the tweets. Ball Football tweeted it out as well, like the comments from Josh Pate, Greg McElroy talking about just how electric Neyland Stadium. I love what Josh Pate said. He said when Neyland is at its best, it is the best. There is no better venue in all of college football. I loved that statement from Josh Pate. Peyton K has been a member for 15 months. Thank you for that support. We appreciate it. Knoxville Predator Catcher for 5 says, are the issues with Hurd mental or physical? I think it's a little bit of both. I think sometimes we forget that he's a young kid too. I think he's a sophomore. He's not a redshirt. He didn't redshirt. Did he redshirt?
No, he's a sophomore.
Yeah, I thought he was listed as a sophomore. So he's a young guy, but I also think there is some physical to it. Like, Coach Rice mentioned, he's been hurt. He's been banged up. He missed a couple of games. Guess what? When you're missing games, you're missing practice. He missed a lot of fall camp. I think a lot of it is physical. And I look at Lance Hurd the same way I look at Nico. He's young, and he's going to be a heck of a football player for Tennessee, and we need him to continue to come along, continue to get better, and I think he's going to do great things. Blackout Jones for 5, can we get a checkered Neyland orange and black edition against Kentucky? Dude, we were talking about this last night during the NCAA stream. Let's go around the room. Dauber, yes or no?
I don't care.
Coach Rice said yes. Coach Jay?
100%.
Recruits want it. If the recruits want it, give it to them.
It'd be the sickest view of all time.
It would be cool. Yeah, it'd probably look cool. So therefore, yes. I guess personally, I'm indifferent. But yeah, if the recruits want it and the kids think it has Riz and is gas, then yeah.
I mean, that's the name of the game right now, though.
Should we have stormed the field? Yes. Because the recruits did it.
Yeah.
That's only saying that because you got.
Don't tear the goalpost down though.
That happened too. The thing for me
is,
the
grass.
I was Coach Rice. I was all about it. Let's do it. Yes, 100%. And then somebody said it looked like the Halloween candies, and I was out. I said,
Oh,
nope, can't handle
candy
it.
corn? You don't love candy corn?
No, the little, I don't know, are they caramel or something? They come and there's orange wrappers and there's black wrappers. And
Oh,
it's
yeah,
garbage.
yeah.
Like
I
they
know
are
what
the
you're talking
nastiest
about.
things ever. And if you look at the picture that's on social media where somebody rendered it, made it look that, that's all I can think of. And so
Would
I'm
you
out.
rather eat? Would you rather eat Peeps or candy corn?
Candy corn every single day.
Neither.
Talking holiday candy.
What's the best Halloween candy and worst, Dauber?
Oh man, I love some Kit Kats.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one, dude. I could just eat Kit Kats. They got those big, huge Kit Kats. That's what I'm talking about.
Worst was when you got like an apple or something.
Oh yeah, like caramel apple or something like that.
Going straight in the trash can.
Yeah. Who wants an apple? I want. Give me the candy.
Mine's either a Kit Kat or Pixie Stick.
Oh, Pixie Stick's a good one.
Or the new Nerds gummy clusters.
Those are fire.
Those things are so good, man. Those are so good.
Yeah, Nerds are sour anything, but like I don't know what it is, but any Reese's shaped Reese's cup, like whether it be a Christmas tree or a pumpkin or whatever the heck they're gonna shape it into, an egg, the egg especially, but it's like as soon as you shape it into that holiday, my brain's like, I love this. This is amazing, even though it's the same thing, right?
I'm right there with you, Jay.
It tricks me. But anyway, offensive line. If Boogie's done reading his super chat,
I got one more. Sean Cross 5 said,
yeah.
"I hope many young Vol fans find this channel." I agree, Sean. I agree. We'll educate him. We'll raise him right. That's what we're doing with Coach Rice. We're raising him right till he becomes an adult. He's a little tiny baby Vol right now. One day he is going to grow up and be an annoying person just like me and Dauber. And
I think I'm already there, but okay.
Go ahead, Coach.
Once again, guys, just we talk about this a lot. It's probably why we end up on the same pages. But probably overall against the pass, D+, C-. Just in the physical comment and the mental thing. Here's the thing too: if you're not in good physical shape, it's hard to be in good mental shape on a football field. Try doing anything when you're dragging arse. You know what I mean? Like it's just difficult, right? And I think some of what I agree with Coach Rice about this team showing some of this. I almost look at it like the O-line is, and it's not by far. It's like a smidgen behind where Nico is with the hope and kind of clicking. But it's because they're starting to get into that physical shape behind it, right? They're starting to get into that shape, and they're having less mental mistakes. Still having those mental mistakes where they're holding when they don't need to. And, if someone just whips you around the end, don't hold them. Let the quarterback either eat that sack. It's much better to have 2nd and 13 over 2nd and 20, right? So if you just get whooped that bad because you go to the wrong spot or something like that, don't hold them. Get your hip in front of them, pin and wheel. Get in their ear, sing them a song, tell them a story, do whatever you got to do, but don't put your team in a worse position than they would have been in the first place. And I get where some of it's coming from is because Nico's been blindsided a couple times and it's cost him big, but you still got to trust him to learn and make those mistakes. I think Coop's been great. I give him an A overall. I agree. I think Carrick's been solid. Spraggs, I feel like kind of started slow and a little out of shape, but is rounded into shape much quicker than Campbell and Hurd have. But I think we're starting to see those guys round into shape, which once again, with this bye week coming right now, and this team getting some momentum on offense, I'll tell you what, guys, if we can come out fast and get smoking against Kentucky, once again, man, I'll keep beating that drum for 2 weeks. Watch out. Watch out, watch out, watch out.
And to add the growth, we only had one offensive lineman holding penalty against Alabama. The other penalties were on the wide receivers or tight ends. John Campbell had one offensive lineman.
Penalties.
Yeah. Penalties.
Such a ticky tack.
But
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let's lump wide receivers and tight ends together for the sake of time.
Sounds good.
This is one, man. And again, Boogie's not grading anybody. I'm not grading anybody because I did it with Kaner. So check out Locked On Balls on Friday morning for all of my thoughts on these. But let's kick it off with Dauber, tight ends, wide receivers.
Wide receivers, I gave a B. Tight ends, I gave a C. I think at the wideout, you've had guys banged up. Brew with his fingers, Squirrel with his shoulder, collarbone, whatever it was. You're getting production from him. Nico spreads ball around. I don't think you've had one guy just kind of take off. I really kind of thought we would see big, eye-popping numbers, but we've not really had that. But I think that's attributed to kind of some other things we've already talked about, offensive line play, with that, the play calling, and then Nico kind of maturing as a quarterback at this level. But Thornton, McCoy, Brazel, Squirrel, they've been who we thought they were. They've been pretty consistent. Tight ends, I think we saw some glimpses of some stuff that I thought was going to be really, really good, and we've kind of gone away from it. And we've had some pretty critical drops from a couple of those guys at times. But I think all in all, there's a lot to look forward to. And I think, like we just said about the bye week, kind of coming at an opportune time. If this offense gets clicking and rolling, D Samp is killing it running the ball. You get Nico and these wide receivers and tight ends in tune as well. Man, just hold your horses.
Dude, if the passing game gets right, D Samp's only going to look better, man.
Oh, yeah.
He's only going to look better. Go ahead, Coach Rice.
I think wide receivers, I'm going to give a B minus. Tight ends, I'm going to give B plus because of their run blocking. I think Stays and Kisselman have been plus run blockers. When you talk about inside zone, split inside zone, running ISO, picking out a linebacker and going to get him, and then running different things, GH counter, a couple other ways they use them and maneuver them around the field. I think part of, yes, they've had a couple crucial drops, but I think part of why we're not seeing the tight ends I just think they're not getting schemed to where they can, there was an awesome play that Stays got held on in the Alabama game. It was a PA pop play where the tight end fakes like he's going to block and then pop into the middle.
Great route.
It was a great route, and that's the reason why the linebacker had to hold him. So I'm hoping we see them try to scheme the tight ends a little bit more. Another thing that we haven't seen much of is the bubble and go concept this year. That gets the tight ends open a lot. I don't know why we haven't seen much of that. I know we have a few times, Ethan Davis a couple times. I think even Ethan Davis has shown that he's your best receiver option as the tight end, and then Kitzelman and Stays being those plus run blocking options, and being able to do a few things in the pass game. But the one reason why I'm giving them a B plus instead of higher is because they have missed a couple critical pass blocking situations. So I'm going to go B plus for the tight ends, and then the wide receivers. They're getting open. These people killing me with the separation issues. That's not it. I know. There's people that they say that's not it. It's the concepts of them having 7 guys early in the season in the secondary, not being there's no space there for them to get separation. And then Nico being a young QB early in the season, not progressing right, or the communication of them, what the wide receiver needs to run versus what Nico sees and thinks he needs to run. So I think it's a little bit of that. I don't think it's a separation issue. We have seen a couple critical drops, but I do think it's kind of like a Nico situation. I think they're trending up. I think you see more Brazil, Thornton, and Brew together on the field. I know Squirrel, they said, looks like he's going to be able to go next week. I would love to see Mike Matthews, but, at this point, I think they're just trying to redshirt him because there's no point unless they just bring something out Kentucky week. And if they don't, I say just redshirt him, and because his skills just too much, and it's inexcusable for him not to be on the field at different times in the game. That's one thing I have yet to understood this year, why they're not getting Mike Matthews more involved.
As of now, Matthews he's only played in. I guess he only registered stat. No, this shows he played in Oklahoma and Kent, but I thought somebody said that he got some snaps against Alabama.
He did get some snaps. I was going to bring up an interesting stat I saw, and gosh, I'll have to try to find it. Maybe I'll post it on Twitter. But they had listed, how like they GPS all these kids right now, right? And they can time their speeds. So out of every single wide receiver that Tennessee has played this year, Mike Matthews is like far and away the slowest, which is not right. If you think about that, right, and then think about the fact that it's his hamstring, and then start doing a little bit of mental math, like Mike Matthews should not be way slower than Brew McCoy.
No.
Right.
That's not right. So if he's got a hamstring injury and he's clocking a lot slower than Brew, to me it seems really easy to kind of put 1 and 2 together to make 3.
I'm just curious how many games he's played in, because I don't. When you look at the stats, it only lists 2 games. It lists Oklahoma and Kent, but there's no stats registered for Oklahoma. So if he got run in the Alabama game, which I'm 99.9%
I thought I
sure
saw
he
him
did,
out there a couple times.
I'm pretty sure he did. So if he did, that's at least 3 games that he's played in. So I mean, that's one more game. Save that for UTEP, right? Give him some run in UTEP, I guess. But that's a good point about him not being 100% though, too. And to add on to not being 100%, if Squirrel White's not 100%, I admire the toughness. I admire that I'm going to go out there and give my all for Tennessee. If he's costing you, then he needs to be on the bench. Period.
Yeah.
Point blank.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Coach.
And maybe I'll go in reverse here with the wide receivers and then into the tight ends. I thought Coach Rice kind of touched on something and started to scratch the surface, and I want to pick a little more at it because I don't think they found it until kind of late in that Alabama game. But, Squirrel struggling with the injury. And if you look at this offensive production chart, our production's been coming from the outside instead of the slot, like in 22 and some of the past years. And just like Thornton, we kind of figured out last year he didn't belong in the slot. He belonged on the outside. And I just wonder if they haven't found something with sliding Brazil into the slot next to Thornton on that side of the field. All of a sudden, you've got a lot of length and a lot of the speed that can run, Texas route, scissor route, all these different pass combinations from the slot to the wide out between Brazil and Thornton. Have they found something? Was that just kind of a one-time matchup thing? I don't know, but it looked dang promising to me. When they were running it, we'll see what we get. We'll see how hurt Squirrel is. We'll see how much we get Nimrod. Obviously, Nimrod had some bad drops there the other night on some tough passes to make, but some bad drops. I thought overall, I agree with Coach Rice. I think the receivers have been getting separation. I think it's been more of a like what can go wrong. It's like who isn't executing on the play? Is it Nico, flooding out of the pocket too much? I do think he started to step into that ruckus of the pocket a lot better. He's been making a lot more throws right up against that offensive line's back. Trusting the offensive line, saying, you know what, there is a lot of pressure here. and that pressure is okay, I'm going to step into it. And it's why you saw the late evade play where he made the pump fake after and was able to slide out last minute. And all of a sudden, everyone's heads went, oh, shoot, that's what Hendon does. Hendon does that because Hendon trusted that offensive line up till that moment where you can't anymore. And then you evade. But guys, we're talking about milliseconds here. That needs to be learned. That can't just be magically poofed out on a high school field in California, like Dauber said, no matter how competitive it is out here. That's got to be learned on the grass in the Southeastern Conference, not against, modern day, not against Chattanooga or NC State, even for that matter. That's got to be learned in those situations and learn it. I think he's going to, but, the O-line just let someone breeze through and the route's too long developing, but it would have been there had it been there, or Nico's gotten stubborn and has tried to force the ball, right? It's been a couple things. I think I give these wide receivers a B overall, some drops. I think they're getting open. I think their blocking in space could be a little bit better. That part of what gave that B there. But I'll tell you what, I do think this staff trusts these wide receivers. I think it's twofold. I think they trust these wide receivers to get open. I think they trust these wide receivers to get open downfield. And I think they still trust Nico to make these. I mean, if you look at this offense, even with all the struggles we've had, we haven't gone into Joe Milton mode. And I'm not trying to throw a dart at Joe Milton. I'm just trying to speak facts here. This offense pulled back and was running bubble screen, bubble screen, bubble screen, bubble screen, quick slant, quick slant, quick slant. This offense is still pushing the ball downfield after everything that's happened. That comes from somewhere, something that they see that they didn't see last year. You can draw your own conclusions. So just straight B out of the wide receivers. Tight ends, they've had some key misses in blocking against the pass. Kitzelman had that one off bad game catching the football, but has looked pretty good catching the ball, except that. I think I'm going to give the tight ends a B plus here overall. They've looked good for the most part in spots, but got some things they can improve on as well.
I thought when I was doing my research for the show with Eric, one of the interesting things that stood out to me was Dante Thornton has been targeted 14 times. Out of those 14 times, 12 catches and 3 touchdowns. That's pretty impressive numbers when you look at the rest of the wide receiver room. Yeah. Brew McCoy, 20 catches. He's been targeted 33 times. Squirrel White, 20 receptions, 31 targets. Chris Brazzell, 18 receptions, 37 targets. So I think Dante Thornton, man, he's a guy that I loved when he transferred here from Oregon, and I doubled down on this year, and I still think he can be a dude in the back half of this season.
Who would you say has the most drops?
I know who has the most drops. Who would you say has – actually, let's play a game. How many drops does this team have, and then who do you think has the most?
I mean, I would say it's got to be Nimrod or Squirrel, but I don't know the answer.
How many do you think they have?
And I know he's injured. I get it. And that's not an excuse. That's a real reason why you are struggling to make catches. That I'll give it to him. But how many?
Are you counting tight ends in that?
Yes.
Right, Kitzelman.
Now this is where it gets interesting because this spoiler alert for Locked On Balls. Y'all don't even watch Locked On Balls. I just spoiled everything for you. They have 8 drops. 8 drops as a team. Squirrel White has 2. Chris Brazzell has 2. Brew McCoy has 2. Chaz Nimrod and Charlie Browder both have 1. So you're talking about Kitzelman. He didn't even register a drop. So to me, like when Kaner, and that's from Pro Football Focus, when he read that stat off to me before we recorded, then we had a great conversation about, well, what in the world registers as a drop? It's kind of like a pass
I was about to
defense
say.
Versus a pass drop
right.
or a pass breakup, right? So I'm like, who's making this call? It's almost like baseball and whether or not you judge the hitter an error.
Right.
Because this team has dropped way more than 8. Way more than 8.
Makes you wonder if even some of those Nimrod ones were registered. I mean, 2 of those hit him in the hands. They were tough. They were tough.
Right in the hands.
Yeah.
The Kitzelman. You have to catch that.
Yeah,
he has to catch it,
but he also had a guy literally
it's still a drop. That's
and
still
the one
a drop,
went.
man.
The one technically went through his hands, not.
the one up.
Yeah. Yeah, it's listen.
So what do you have to get two hands
like,
and squeeze?
No,
and then,
no,
but I'm serious.
But what did not Josh Pate, the other one, but JD Pickell say? Go make some scholarship plays, man.
Yeah.
Go make some 4- and 5-star wide receiver plays out there. Look, we're getting into it, but at the bottom line, I don't think any. Yeah.
You have these things. That ball should be sticking to your hands.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's all 11 executing, and I know we're wrapping up the offense, and I think we all up here can agree that maybe with the exception of D. Samp, right, and Bishop, this whole and even them again in the pass blocking at times, all 11 are executing, but not executing every time together, and that has been the problem. And there is a small margin for error in tough SEC football.
Good job right there. Way to tie a bow on that.
I should have turned this thing into freaking 2 shows. Like I know, everybody's
idiot.
so long-winded.
I'm making a VolQuest thread on it, on how dumb you are for not making it 2 shows.
They'll just tell you, hey man, there's 17 threads on the first page already saying this. Why don't you go read those instead of starting a new one? Idiot. Let's use a good 63 effort here and let's pick up the pace on the defense. We're not even going to talk special teams. Like special teams is what it is. Ross has been good.
Yeah,
he's also struggled. He's struggled at times. I think Gilbert has been good kicking the football. All 3 of his misses are from over 50. Yeah, all 3 are over 50. So they're doing fine.
Kirbyville's a touchback machine.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that guy.
God, stop talking about special teams.
Jordan Ross blocked a punt, scored a touchdown. Also had that huge mistake though and hit a punter. That's it.
I'm not gonna say nothing.
That's it. That's it. One more thing, Boogie. One more thing.
Listen. All right, let's talk about this defense. Let's start with the defensive line. We'll let Coach Rice go first for the defensive line. Obviously dominant. A+ the end. Let's talk about the linebacker. I'm just kidding.
No, I mean A+, plus. Did I forget plus? No, like it's surreal how much depth we have there. Granted, we're going to be losing a good number of guys after this year, pending, the graduation and draft. But, Rodney Gardner's the guy. It's point blank, best unit in the nation. But on every team, it's the best combined unit in the nation. I have zero doubts about that. Pressure, tackles for loss, they'll give up a run here and there, but that's a lot combined with linebackers, filling their gaps, safeties filling their gaps. And then, every once in a while, a player's just going to miss a play. So Elijah Simmons, Bryson Eason, Amar Thomas, Omar Norman-Lott, the best 4 guys you can bring back other than Cooper Mays for that 6th year. That's easy money, well-earned money, well-deserved money that those guys are getting, and it's the difference of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. So much talent across that position group. The ability to be able to rotate and not drop off.
Yeah.
And that's the difference right there. A couple years ago, you look back at, you go from first team to second team and there's a drop off. And that's when games would get out of hand and we couldn't hang. You're talking about you're being able to stay fresh and rotate for 4 quarters and still get after it late in the game. And you've seen it across the board. These guys are all putting in work and getting it done. And it's almost a case of, well, who wants to show up today? And it doesn't surprise you when you have Eason or West or Norman Lott. Pierce is going to get his, and Pierce has been battling, double and triple teams, getting chipped and checked, and but I guarantee you that dude loves it because his brothers the guy beside him, they're getting theirs because he's getting you know, all the extra attention. So offensive or defensive line, yeah, A plus plus super plus. That's like one of those 114s on the paper with the little smiley face.
You know, like
Yeah.
the stat I look at all the time for defensive line, and it's not just defensive line, it's defense as a whole, but tackles for loss. And since Rodney Garner has come back for Tennessee, they're always at the top of the league in tackles for loss, 59 through 7 games, but then also stopping the run. They're giving up, I just pulled it up, 2.24 yards per carry on the ground. That's PlayStation numbers. It's ridiculous. Sorry, Coach Jay, go ahead.
No, there were just, I mean, yeah, A plus plus. They're deep. They're nasty. They're going to be great again next year, for that matter. They've got so much dang talent on that D line. It's scary. I mean, there's moments, you know, in that game, Tennessee scores a touchdown, you know, to go up 21-17 in that game. Bama gets the ball back, decides to run the ball once. I think Jackson Moy and another kid, I can't remember the kid's name now off the top of my head. 53.
Jason Jenkins.
Yeah, Jenkins.
Hobbs.
Yeah, Hobbs and Jenkins are out there. They stuff a run right off the bat. Whoop the O-line. The next play, Bama goes out. Tennessee rotates in different D linemen, right? And stuff the run again. Offensive line sucking gas, and here comes Josephs and Pierce and Big O, and you. I swear to gosh, guys, I saw the offensive tackle, the right tackle, look over at them coming out, and he just shakes his head and looks forward, and you know, pressure on Milroe, and he throws one away. It's just indicative of the way this whole season's gone for that defensive line. What a punctuation mark Rodney Gardner has been putting on the end of his career here at Tennessee. And gosh, I hope we can hold on to him for as many moons as possible. But dang it. And if you look at the recruiting classes, it just keeps getting better and better and better. And it's scary how deep they are. So A plus plus from Coach Jay there.
Carry on and take us right into your favorite group, and that's the linebackers.
You know, linebackers, obviously it really smart at losing Keelan Peely. This was a guy who played with a ton of aggression, played with his hair on fire against Oklahoma when they were moving the ball early, quarterbacking the defense out on the field. You know, you have a kid like Spillman as well out there learning when he was early in the season, and you felt like you had some young freshman depth, but then you lose Peely, you get a little thinner, and Spielman's gone too, and you need someone to step up. And then you have T-Lander really take the reins with the mic in his ear. And I'll tell you what, guys, the communication on field, I hope, and you can, I've seen it, but really try to pay attention, because there is special. You talk about quarterbacking the defense, and we often talk about the Mike linebacker controlling the D and moving the D around. But I'll tell you what, there needs to be good intercommunication between the strong side and the weak side and the back end. And what will happen is T-Lander will get the strong side and the back end in order. And then almost as he's doing it, Arian has done the same thing on the weak side, almost in lockstep. And it was beautiful to watch against Alabama. You are seeing two very, very young linebackers come of age. These two kids are, in my opinion, both going to be all SEC linebackers next year.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And then you got guys, you know, Caleb Perry and Burns and all these kids coming in. Spillman will come into his own next year. You know, there's been times where the linebackers got crossed up early in the season in the past game, but they've almost fixed that entirely. You think of Arian Carter, the great redirect in the Florida game, redirecting the seam route stem, sitting down in the flat and picking the ball, and T-Lander, some of his goal line stuffs. And I'll tell you what, these guys have been nothing short of spectacular. And if I take into account their youth that they have, I'm giving them an A-. If they were seniors, I might give them a B. With everything in full scope, A-. Guys have been doing a heck of a job.
Yeah, linebackers, given the injury of Keenan Peely, I think they're playing unreal. Like I think the combination of Carter and I think Smith has played some good games. I know he struggled from time to time. And I know we were all wanting Spillman to get some time, and but that his time will come. Injuries are uncontrollable. So and the growth in the room, I think Coach Inge is doing a great job there. Give credit to Jim Marie. I thought he did good while he was here, but I think Inge is that next step up. Getting these guys to where they need to be. And so I'm going to give those guys about the same as Coach J, A-, considering how young they are, given that now they're having to step up to those leadership roles. You don't see communication breakdowns. Me and Coach J say it all the time. A defense that doesn't get lined up is a defense that's trash, because there's no way a team could be successful if they're not properly lined up and communicating with what they're supposed to do on each play. So, and that's a big thing to do for those sophomores. So, great job from them. That second level is the run level, where you stop that run game, you fill the gaps, and then you cut off, messy plays from the offense that, can create big plays. You're the eraser for that. So I think they've done a great job. A-, and just keep using the rest of this season to keep growing. Jalen Smith, and I'd say the hero of the group so far from the Keenan Peely injury is Caleb Perry. I think he's played out this world, and in the four. We've seen some 4-3 the last couple of weeks. I mean, against Florida when they ran two tight ends, and then against Alabama when they ran two tight ends, you'd see Caleb Perry come in and have that third linebacker in the game.
A kid that we thought could transfer.
Yeah,
a kid that we both thought could transfer, Coach.
Yep.
Yeah.
But so I think he's kind of stamped his role, and just keep growing. That's the big key with that group.
Yeah, I have to say I feel kind of good about myself listening to these two guys below us, and looking at what I kind of thought and the way I've graded this team. I gave the linebackers an A, and I said the same thing. Big time loss, losing Peely, I think it magnifies losing him last year. And it shows what we got out of him, just a taste of last year, and then up through where we lost him this year, how special he could have been here at this university, what we got from a leadership standpoint on the field, communication standpoint on the field. But like Coach Jay said, these young guys, man, coming in, and this talent kind of had to get thrown in the fire a little bit, last year because Peely's injury. So a little bit of run last year, but you're seeing them step up and take on that role. You guys said it, Carter, T-Lander, Perry, man, so many of these guys, and you do have that depth. You do have somebody behind them coming in, and they are making plays, and that's it's no longer you can go back to old Hank T that couldn't defend a slant. and linebacker play and all this. You've got these young guys. They're not getting called out. They're not getting beat on something continuously. So I think linebacking has been a strength for this defense, and I think this defense has been a strength for this team.
Before we go on to the secondary, the final piece of this defense, got to do a little plugging and shilling. Go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. We got the brand new State Pride 2.0 shirts. These are clean. I like this gray color over here. I don't know if I've ever even seen this color or if I've ever added it before, but I like it. It looks clean. And then also for good old Nate Pruitt, you guys know what he does. Every time he rolls in here and drops a super chat, he ends it with God bless and go Vols. And I promised him we were going to put that on a t-shirt, and here it is. Now, all the old favorites are there. VWO, Vol World Order, Cruton with Boogie and the coaches, Lurker Mode. All of it is there. Bonfire.com/store/Talkin VAWLS. That link is also in the description below to make it easier for you. If you're like Coach Jay and you can't remember the link to get merch, it's in the description, so you'll never be able to forget it. Also, thank you to the members of the channel, man. I say it all the time. You guys make this show possible. Give me the opportunity to do this, do the morning shows with Kaner, the morning shows with Coach Jay. We appreciate your support. If you don't have a power T beside your name, I've heard that you're a Florida fan, but I don't know how accurate that is. Let's tie a bow on this thing. Let's talk about the secondary, a unit that I don't think really us as a whole, I don't remember where everybody was at, but I think we had a little bit more confidence here than maybe some of the other, especially when you talk about national media. But, you know, I feel like we were all kind of in alignment and in agreement that this secondary could be a lot better than people thought, especially at the corners, at the star, a little bit of concern at safety. And obviously Will Brooks is having a heck of a season, of a season. And I don't think anybody could sit here and expect that, right? And they can have their jokes and poke their fun and pick on me. That's all fine. That's what we do on YouTube, and I'm here for it. I think it's hilarious. But if anybody thought that Will Brooks was going to be playing as good as he is right now, they're a liar. Nobody believed that he was going to be playing that good. Let's kick it off, Coach Rice. What do you think about the secondary?
I think start off with safeties real quick. Will Brooks, dude. I mean, go earn. You've earned yourself every type of anything you want Knoxville for the next, so many years with a couple of the big plays you've made this year. And then the scholarship that I think he's well deserved. And then I think the big thing is, do you see any big plays this year in the pass game other than, Taylor Green throwing a couple of dimes that are just in a breadbasket the other day? I mean, there's no deep shots where guys are just running wide open. These safeties are, like I said, the linebackers were their racers in the run game. These safeties are their racers in the pass game. They cut out any, bad plays by corners, but which we haven't had. So, I'd say A-, because Jacoby Thomas, he brings it every snap. You never have to worry about Jacoby Thomas or Will Brooks bringing it. Turntine has been consistent. I mean, there's a couple times tackling-wise you'd like to see him, be in a little better form, but you don't see him giving up any busted plays. He's the free safety of the, he's the deep guy. When we play cover 3, he's the center guy majority of the time. And then the other guys, the young guys that come in during the late in games, I think consistently the group is consistent. I mean, it's like they're all playing really good ball. They're playing together. The communication you see across the defense is been, just dynamic and very good. And then the corners, Jamal McCoy, Coach Jay, great breakdown. I mean, give yourself your applause there, man. He is best corner we've had since former years. I mean, I know Cam Sutton did his positive things. A couple other guys did some positive things, but this dude is locking down one side of the field. Yes, he gave up some perfect dimes in the Arkansas game, but he was in perfect position. So, good offense, trumps great defense. You just can't, it's inevitable. Like, it just is what it is. So, and then Ricky Gibson to bounce off what Jermon McCoy's been doing. It's just unreal the type of corners we have. Two guys that are not afraid to get up in the wide receiver's grill and says, "You're locked down. You're on my island, and you're not going anywhere." So it's hashtag no fly zone for this secondary, and then you just go to star, and you can't forget to give love to Jalen McMurray. He's been rotating in with Gibson and McCoy. He's keeping up the steam, man. He's locking down one side of the field and playing good football. And then you go to star. Christian Harrison's made some plays. I know he's been dealing with some injuries, but you don't see those slot guys and tight ends just taking over football games, do you? No, they're making plays. Boo Carter is the best blitzer on this team, bar none. That dude, I love seeing blitzing. He's shown he can play one-on-one coverage against elite wide receivers and elite tight ends. So, and that dude is a freaking freshman, y'all. Future years going forward, probably going to be the best star we ever had here in the short time that Coach Heupel's been here going forward. So, I'm going to give a solid A. Just because of a couple things here and there, pass interferences or, a couple missed tackles here and there. So solid A for the secondary.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dobber.
Go.
No, let Dobber go first because they left no meat on the bones for the last.
I know. It's like
I was going to say I had an A as well. It's for me. I thought we had some guys coming in that could be good, but it was a lot of unknown. The back end was an unknown. So the back end was a big question last year and a big problem last year, which is probably why most of those guys hit the road. But yeah, I mean, Coach Rice, you kind of nailed it on across the board with the play we've seen. McCoy and Gibson have been just ridiculous, and Turntine, Jacoby Thomas, man, those guys are. You're probably going to spend some time in the ice bath after you get tackled by those guys. It's fun to watch them play because it's good football. And like you said, we've not seen a lot of big chunk plays and guys getting burnt. The Arkansas game was definitely the worst game for this secondary, and it was a lot of well-placed balls that's going to beat good coverage because Taylor Green was throwing it where only his guys could get it, and they made the plays.
Game of his life.
Yeah. It is what it is. But how'd Alabama's phenom 17-year-old do this past weekend?
Not well. Not well.
Yeah. So this defense, and I'll throw in here's something I was going to say to kind of wrap it up, but just the defense as a whole. You guys enjoy this. Enjoy what Tim Banks has built. Enjoy what Tim Banks has done, because I think that man has probably earned himself a head coaching gig somewhere. What he's done at the University of Tennessee, improving this defense from year to year to year, dude's not going to be around as a defensive coordinator for much longer.
Yep.
Nope. The secondary's been great. I mean, if you throw out the Arkansas game, A, right? Easy A all around if you throw out that game. I thought Ricky Gibson had a tough game in that game, specifically against the run in that game. Just kind of the way they schemed him up. But besides that, Ricky's been great. Ricky's been phenomenal. He's been an A player out there, obviously. yeah, Jermon McCoy is the dude. Man, he when he hit Matthews over the middle in that game, that happened right in front of me. I felt that hit 29 seats up at Neyland. I mean, the pads popped, and for a linebacker coach, there's nothing I love more than hearing those pad pops. So I love that. I absolutely love that. But I do have a couple questions though, and they're not your atypical questions, but maybe something for everyone to chew on. Here's two questions. Question number one. Man, Christian Harrison playing great ball at the Stars, and Boo Carter is obviously going to seize that job. What do we do with Jordan Thomas when he comes back? I mean, dude is an absolute baller. Is he sliding to that Will Brooks position? Because it seems like Jacoby Thomas is going to be there. So what happens with Jordan Thomas when he comes back? Right? It's just an interesting thought because that kid can play, man. That kid's a dude, absolute dude. We were looking at him to be the really, I mean, a lot of the national media was looking at him to be the centerpiece of this secondary. I mean, us around the program thought what we thought about Ricky Gibson and Jermon McCoy, but yeah.
I think the big thing is, Tim Banks is he rotate, like we're seeing more rotation at the safety position this year than we did last year. So they're going to want to play 4 safety. So I think it's good. You guys talk about Turrentine. I've said that so much as a joke that now I have no clue how to really pronounce his name. It's like Chris Brazel. I said it that way as a joke. Now I have no idea how to pronounce their names. But I don't think he has been very inconsistent to go against like what Coach Rice said about the rest of the secondary. I think he's been pretty dang consistent. I know, Coach Jay, you mentioned Ricky Gibson in the Arkansas game, but for the most part, they've been consistent. I don't think he's consistent. I think he struggles at times, and it's just like everything else. Competition breeds success. So what do you do with him when he's healthy? You let him go compete. Does he compete to be in the 2 deep with Jacoby Thomas, or does he compete with Andre Turrentine, gold jacket, green jacket? Like maybe it's a little aggressive, but it's like come in, find your spot, or transfer out, and we'll play the best players. That's a beautiful problem for Tim Banks to have in the secondary.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good problem, and I think Turrentine's spot might be the answer, and those two are going to have to duke it out. That might very well be the answer. Turrentine struggled at times against Arkansas. It really looked good against Bama, though, for the most part.
I thought it might have been his best game.
And throw away the play where he got juked out of his shorts and stemmed into the middle for the touchdown that tied the game against Florida. Yeah. Besides that, he's looked definitely serviceable. So I guess if I'm Jordan Thomas, to your point, Boogie, and I'm looking at this lineup and thinking, all right, that old kicker on an onside kick adage. All right, who's my punk? Who am I kicking to? That might be where I would be kicking to if I were him.
And by the way, you got Idris Farouk, John Slaughter.
Yeah, I know.
You got a lot of
John
dudes.
Slaughter is playing
dudes.
good too. Christian Charles is also playing pretty good football. And then obviously the senior walk-on, phenomenal, right? No one had that story pegged, so awesome to see out of Will Brooks. I think Jordan Matthews has come on slow, but has started to turn the corner a bit too. And the more depth we can build at cornerback, the better, right? Because you felt only really good about the starting two. Now I'm starting to feel like I got a lot of trust for Jordan Matthews as well, and that's a big-time recruit coming to his own, which brings me to my second question I'd like everyone to chew on. Willie Martinez get an extension?
I think you have to.
Yeah, I think you do too, Coach.
Yeah,
people will get mad about it.
Secondary.
Dauber?
Yeah, I mean, I think yes, because he's critical in recruiting, and that's been the thing that I think you look back to last year. Maybe it wasn't necessarily coaching. Maybe it was what was on the field.
Yeah.
So,
Boogie, they turning back and looking at the ball now?
Hey, I think they're doing a pretty dang good job out there.
I think they're doing
on
a
the
good
corners.
job too. I think I
Talk
think
about
like
the X's
anyone
and
I
O's, I think you finally got those Jimmies and Joes that Tim Banks is playing with, and Coach Martinez and that whole defense. I mean, it's the whole defense is one, and Coach Martinez and those secondary guys are eating off what that defensive line is bringing each and every play, and they can be aggressive because they're playing man press. And they know that they got to get the quarterback has to get rid of the ball. So if you hold them, get physical with them just for that half a second longer, it changes the whole game plan of what the offense could do. So, I would do anything possible to be able to keep this defensive staff together.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And you brought up a good point earlier talking about Inge. I think Inge was a pretty big addition and has kind of solidified and gotten the most out of the linebacker play. I think that's a group that has really kind of shined and really excelled. It's hard to outshine the defensive line because the dudes you got there and Coach G is just, man, the greatest. But I think Inge has been a good addition, but I think I don't know if Martinez was coaching for his job. He was the only one that didn't get an extension, but I think he's earned that extension. And I honestly, like I said, I think maybe it wasn't necessarily the coaching, maybe it was the execution and what was on the field last year in that back end that was the problem.
He's put some guys into the league, man. Like Willie Martinez is a good football coach. It is maddening. Because here's the thing, like we can sit here and say, look what Coach Inge has done with the linebacker room, right? Well, Brian Jean-Marie recruited those guys. Brian Jean-Marie also coached out those guys. We don't know what's going on in the meetings. We don't know what's going on in the film room. We don't know what's going on the practice field. So it's easy when things are going good to credit a coach. And it is, man. Like, look, you two down there, y'all know, y'all play a heavy part in developing guys. That's why it's like if it wasn't a coach, I'll just figure it out myself. But you can spin a narrative as a fan of hating Mark. Look at Tim Banks, man. Like I'm on here saying, dude, Tim Banks took over a dumpster fire. Like, let's be patient and give him time. Screw that guy. He sucks. Fire him because Josh Heupel's out there scoring 50 points. Well, if Josh Heupel can do it, then why can't Tim Banks do it on defense? I'm like, be patient. And what do we see? Year after year after year, that points per game kept going down and down and down. And now we're on here. And the four of us are saying this is a national championship level defense, best defensive line in the country. It's easy, boys, when you got the Jimmies and Joes. And I probably should apologize to Vols JB because I used to yell at him all the time. I'm like, you got to be able to get more out of these guys as a coach. And he's like, Boogie, you got to have the horses. Yeah. We're seeing it.
Then last thing I'll say, because I know you try to wrap it up, and that's why you made an excellent point when you're talking about Boogie, talking about giving credit where credit's due. Well, now you're seeing the defensive guys who were all critical on early in this tenure. Well, now the offense is struggling, and who we yelling at and
right,
barring at, it's Halsley and Ellerby. Which I mean, Ellerby's one that I kind of want to keep an eye on because Halsley's had Hendon Hooker to go back on because he did. Heupel is the coach, but Hendon Hooker got developed when he came to Tennessee, point blank.
Yeah. Yep.
And Joe Milton was awful, and somehow they made him into an NFL drafted quarterback. And
I thought they got a lot out of Joe.
Yeah, I thought. Yeah, and then on top
of a 9-win season where we're disappointed, that's a lot.
Exactly. Yeah. And now the questions are: can Ellerby develop the guys he's recruited? The guys that are along the offensive line are transfer portal guys or guys that were here before Heupel. Yep. Point blank.
Huge.
It is what it is.
And it's weird because people ask me about firing Glenn Ellerby or moving on from Glenn Ellerby, and I'm like, you almost got to reset the clock at this point and give him time to develop those young guys. You have to. Like, what are you going to do? Fire him after this year? Fire him after next year? It's like, what? He went out and recruited David Sanders. Right now, we're working on the number one offensive tackle in the class of 26. Like,
and Hurd.
Yeah, No, we can't do that, Coach Rice. We can't give Glenn Ellaby credit for landing Hurd. That's not allowed around here on this YouTube channel. We don't do that. We only talk about the bad things.
The key thing is he has to develop those guys, and these guys, our offensive line is gone other than Hurd after this year. So he better step up and start developing.
Sean Crawford too says good night, fam. Sean's ready to end the show.
He's like, I'm out of here.
Because Sean said that, I agree. We will bid you adieu. No Friday morning stream. We did this midseason recap because it's a bye week. And I said, Coach Jay, why don't you just come on and we'll do a big, midseason recap. We'll take the Friday morning show off. Saturday, I'll be over in Boone, North Carolina, watching App State go to battle. Sunday, I'm leaning towards no fan call-in show. Just because it is a bye week, we'll start things fresh Monday morning with Kaner, Tuesday night, NCAA night, Wednesday night, Talkin VAWLS live. Friday morning, Coach Jay will be back for the morning show, and then we'll roll into the Kentucky week tailgate show, post-game show, all that good stuff. But that's going to do it for this one. We're going to go ahead and kick it off and say that it is Kentucky week starting now. So for Dauber, for Coach Rice, for Coach Jay, my name's Boogie Bentley. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. Go Big Orange.
Mark Stoops is 2-9 against this team, and to walk around this place before the game, I was disgusted. The smugness of those guys just walking around like, we're going to walk in here, we're going to kick your ass, and you can't do anything about it. And it made me sick. And you know what? They did it. They still did it. What the hell? Can we just beat this team? I know that Mark Stoops has done a lot of good things. This is his one really bad thing. The stupid stat about beating teams with a winning record and taking the next step and blah, blah. Just freaking beat Tennessee. Please, can we just stop losing to this stupid team with their stupid orange color, their stupid
Rocky Top, you'll always be.
By the way, shout out Michelle for the $20 super chat. I don't know why you always do it at the end and don't get credit. So shout out to Michelle. Go Big Orange.
That we call home, and it's night and I'm alone and I'm alive.